All right, everyone. So we have some news and announcements for Raid Shadow Legends, and we have a somewhat unexpected patch that just actually recently got applied to the game, and this was a small balancing patch as well as a nerf to faction wars yet again. So if you actually go to the in-game news and announcements on the left side of the screen right over here, you'll actually see right here at the top, balance update. Don't get caught out, check what's new. And I thought it was just going to be a couple of champions, you know, something really minor, but it's actually quite a few champions, and it looks like there are a total of 14 champions that actually got balance updates. So quite a bit of stuff to go through here. If you guys end up having one of these champions, you definitely might want to actually take a look at them again. Maybe they got buffed to the point where they might actually be worth doing something with. So just really quickly, the list of champions is Black Knight, Azur, Basher, Bushi, Ironus, Faceless, Galkut, Hellgazer, Jingle Hunter, Kitus, Marksman, Soul Drinker, and Torture Helm. Oh, and Woad Painted. So a lot of champions actually got a balance update here, and some of these changes are pretty reasonably significant. So let's just take a look at them really quickly. I know one of the big ones that a lot of people were looking forward to was Black Knight. They actually changed a whole bunch of his skills. So skill 1 Heavy Blow, effect change now has a 75% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn, was a 100% chance on critical hits. Damage now depends on max HP. That's a pretty big one right there. Lower Visor effect change now places a 60% increased defense buff, was 30%. Last Breath decreased cooldown from 6 turns down to 4 turns. And Valorous passive effect change now places an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn if incoming damage exceeds 15% max HP in 1 attack, was 30% max HP. So those are some pretty reasonably significant changes for Black Knight. So those of you guys who pulled him, or those of you guys who pulled him as your only legendary, definitely might be worth taking another look at right there. Now, all the other balance updates are going to be for epics. Azur basic speed increased from 87 to 97. That's a pretty big increase in the basic speed right there. Basher got changed. Skill 1 Splintering Bash. Increased debuff chance now has a 75% chance of placing a 25% weakened debuff for 2 turns, was a 30% chance. And Stinging Blast effect change is now guaranteed to increase the cooldown of all the target skills by 1 turn, was only if the target had a block buffs debuff. Bushi added aura now increases ally speed in the arena by 20%. That's pretty cool. Deadly Edge damage increased, and Unbending decreased cooldown from 8 turns to 5 turns. Ironus Razor Claws increased debuff chance and duration now has a 90% chance of placing a 2.5% poison debuff, 5% when ascended, for 2 turns, was a 30% chance of placing the debuff for 1 turn. So that's a pretty significant boost to that skill right there. Faceless Ice Bolt decreased cooldown from 5 turns to 3 turns. Galkut had 2 skills changed here. Mangle Limbs effect change now has a 25% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns, was a 50% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff. And Boom Barrage now places a bomb debuff that detonates after 2 turns, was a 75% chance of placing a bomb that would detonate after 3 turns. Now, I honestly have not really done too much with the whole bomb debuffs. I know there are a few people that have. Those of you guys who use champions that use bombs, let me know how good they are and if it's something I should really try to start incorporating. But from what I've heard from a lot of people is that they're still pretty weak in comparison to a lot of the other debuffs and effects in the game, that it's not really worth kind of building around them. There might be a couple of champions that are the exception to that case, though. All right, Hellgazer. Basic speed increased from 87 to 90%. Again, a 10% speed increase. That's pretty significant right there. Jingle Hunter. Jacked Frost. Increased debuff chance. Now has a 90% chance of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn if this attack kills the target. Was a 50% chance. Kitus. I only recognize this guy because you needed him for certain fusions, I believe. But I definitely recognize his name. Skill 1 Soul Reaper effect change now has an 85% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns, was only if the target had a continuous heal buff before. That's a pretty significant change. Taking away one of the conditionals is actually pretty significant, especially if it's a pretty rare one. Skill 2 Spikes effect change. Now the attacks will be critical if the target has any buffs, was only if the target had a continuous heal buff. Again, taking away the conditional is pretty significant right there. Marksman, skill 1 Venom Arrow. Increased debuff duration now places a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns, was 1 turn. Soul Drinker, I know I have this guy, so this is interesting to see that he got some buffs. Skill 2 Raining Fire, effect changed, now decreases bomb debuff detonation countdowns by 1 turn, was only if the target had a poison debuff, so that's again taking away the conditional, which is really nice. Skill 3 Magma Blast, increases debuff chance, now has a 75% chance of placing a bomb debuff that detonates after 3 turns, was 50% chance. And Skill 4 Set Ablaze, increases debuff chance, now has a 100% chance of placing 2 bomb debuffs on each enemy that detonate after 2 turns. When this champion dies, was 80%. Torture Helm, skill 2 Bloodlust, damage increased, and skill 3 Unkillable. Effect change, now revives this champion with 50% HP when killed, was a 50% chance to revive. That's an interesting change right there. And finally, Woad Painted, the one that I almost even forgot. Skill 2, Undying Fury, effect change now heals this champion by 100% HP, was 30% HP. Wow, that's a pretty big increase right there, from 30% to 100%. And skill 3, Overpower, effect change, damage is now proportional to this champion's max HP, was current HP. So that is quite a few changes. So let me count this up again. So we have 1 legendary that got rebalanced, Black Knight, and then Azure Basher, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 epics. So a total of 14 champions that got rebalanced. Now this is great. I always love to see updates like this. I know it's not anything too crazy. It's not actual in-game content, but this is a really big issue that we have in Raid Shadow Legends, is if you actually take a look at the champion index, you'll see there are just so many champions in this game now, and they keep adding more and more of them. I swear it seems like every couple of weeks there is a notice that we see 10 new champions added, 12 new champions added, 7 new champions added. And the problem is, especially with the legendaries, there are so many champions that are just not up to par. And when you pull certain legendaries, you just get this feeling of dread, thinking to yourself, man, I really wish I didn't get this legendary. I almost would rather just have not gotten a legendary instead, because they're just so bad in comparison to so many of the other legendaries. I mean, there are certain legendaries that are even worse than a lot of rares in the game, just because they are not up to par. I don't know whether it's the developers are just not really in touch with how the power kind of works in this game and what kind of people do, and maybe they think that something is really good, but in reality, when it comes to the actual players playing the game, it's really not that good. It's just kind of an out of touch with the developers versus the players. Or, you know, the other idea, and I think a lot of people believe this might be true, but maybe they actually keep a lot of legendaries not that great on purpose, so that you have to pull even more in order to get the legendaries that you are looking for. I don't know. Either way that you look at it, it's not like one of them is really good or anything. They're both kind of bad alternatives, and the fact that they are doing this rebalancing patch kind of out of nowhere, and that it includes a total of 14 champions, is pretty darn awesome. I really just wish that they would end up doing this kind of stuff more frequently. So keep this up, Plarium. Try to push these out every couple of weeks. I would say if they can push out one of these rebalancing updates every time they include a couple of new champions, but if they rebalance twice as many champions that they actually push out, so that slowly over time, instead of just rebalancing champions at the same rate that new champions come out, that we would slowly start to catch up on a lot of the really bad champions, I think that would be great. But we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. This is Plarium here. Definitely wouldn't really expect that to happen, but pretty cool little update that we had there. Now at the end, it did also notice that there is or maybe it was actually at the beginning here, that we did get another rebalance to Faction Wars, which is actually very strange. I was not expecting this at all, because we actually just had a rebalancing for Faction Wars. It used to be extremely difficult, then it got nerfed. It's actually quite a bit easier. I haven't ran it since this update right here, the one that we just got today, but it's definitely quite a bit easier. So I'm a little bit surprised that they are rebalancing it yet again. Maybe there's something that I'm missing out on. Maybe they want it to be even easier. I mean, it is definitely easier than it was before, but I don't see myself getting to the end stages with the teams that I have anytime soon. So maybe this will kind of make that a bit easier, but again, a lot of people have had these theories and rumors that Maybe Plarium actually made Faction Wars really difficult at the start to kind of get the biggest spenders of the game to compete to try to go and clear out the highest difficulties while they were still willing to be the first ones and spend money doing so. And now that they've already done that and it's been a while, they're making it easier for everyone. So we're really putting on the tinfoil hat theories for this, but that's definitely something out there that a lot of people said. I don't really know if that's the case or not, but again, always nice to see changes like this. Now, in other news as well, we do have a little bit of event stuff today. The Dragon Tournament did start, so that's a really popular one. The Spider Tournament ended, and then in one day, actually about a half a day at the time of me making this video, the Champion Training Tournament and the Champion Chase Tournament are going to begin. So very important for those of you guys who are holding off on Champions, or you're actually holding off on the Fusion, to end up getting points for that Champion Chase Tournament. You get points from any champions, even Fusion champions. So if you wait to fuse your epics, you'll get 250 points from each one of these for that tournament right there. So that's coming up. And in the actual events, the only thing is the Arena Assault ends today. I was able to complete this without actually having to use refills. I think I actually used 1 or 2, but it's because it was my own fault. And I think I went to sleep with the full thing of arena tokens, and you know, it was my own fault. You could have actually gotten the 750 points for this over the course of a week without having to use any kind of refill bags if you were getting 3 or 4 medals per victory. So besides that, guys, one day as well, if you guys are taking advantage of that Amazon Prime thing, I have not claimed my Ultimate Gaelic yet because I'm waiting for that Champion Chase Tournament. So if you guys also have not claimed your Ultimate Gaelic, I would at this point just wait off one more day so you can end up getting the 250 additional points for that Champion Chase Tournament. Just like the Fusions, any source of champions that you get will give you points towards that. With that all being said, that's about it for the video today, guys. Hope that you enjoyed this news and updates type video for the day. And if you guys did, consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Thank you again, guys, for all the support. Really do appreciate it. If you want to help out, tossing a quick like means more than you can imagine. And plenty of Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, and all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now. So feel free to check them out. If not, until next time, this is Salted, the Salty Guild, signing out.